Hey folks, welcome back to Bullets and Brass. Today let's get into something that has pissed me off for years, basically, and I'm sure many of you, but I haven't talked about it on the channel. It's a political and social issue that honestly I just didn't see a point in addressing. But the situation just keeps snowballing. It just keeps getting worse. Not specific to this exact topic, but we're going to get into some of the ancillary issues around it as well. And what I'm talking about is lawsuits against gun companies when their firearms are used by criminals. And this tends to be if there's like a mass shooting, a major terrorist event, or something like that, where, for example, the criminal uses a Bushmaster brand AR or a Remington, which was Bushmaster. But you get the idea. Some wonderful presidents removed a lot of the protections that companies had from this, but didn't really consider how that would get used. Or actually, they probably did, and it was intentional. Now, in particular, what we're seeing is that they use the advertising against the company. Companies, particularly selling more tactical oriented firearms, advertise them that way. They advertise them in a dynamic environment. They don't advertise them at the shooting range doing, static target shooting. They don't advertise them in a hunting environment because that's not what the rifle's for. And then the anti-gun crowd demonizes this as, well, you're promoting these criminal activities. Well, first of all, the ads don't show criminal activity. Second of all, most of the ads for other products I've seen do, and yet we don't sue them. The very logic of the argument that your advertising shows these guns being used in a violent manner promoted this criminal act. There's so many holes in that logic that the fact that it holds up in court at all is evidence that it's not about reality, it's about an agenda. And the judges are aware of it. They are, in most cases, in on it because you can see the cases where the judge was not on board. It very quickly gets thrown out and the case is being decided on other merits. And usually those are the ones that very quickly result in the anti-gun crowd licking their wounds and going away. The idea that a manufacturer of a legal product is somehow responsible for the criminal misuse of that product when there are laws governing the purchase, ownership, and use of those items is ridiculous. The manufacturer did not set those laws. The manufacturer did not assist somebody in violating those laws. The manufacturer sold a firearm to a distributor who then sold it to a gun store who then sold it to an individual in compliance with those laws. What happens after that is not the responsibility of anybody in that chain as long as they have followed the law. Now, if they have intentionally bypassed that law, throw the book at them. But that's not what happens. Most of those arguments, in terms of the advertising-based lawsuits, should have been thrown out very quickly. And somehow, even the ones that don't survive the actual legal challenge get tied up in court long enough to effectively bankrupt even larger gun companies. That is what happened to Remington. They effectively went bankrupt, partly out of mismanagement, but also because they were being sued and dragged through courts for so long that the legal bills essentially ate up their available cash. They did not have the free money in their account to pivot what they were doing in the market. That costs money. And if you're spending millions of dollars trying to defend yourself from a lawsuit that eventually gets thrown out, but you are left on the hook for those bills, that's an attack on your company. That's somebody using the legal system fraudulently to bankrupt a company. And unfortunately, we see the ATF using the same strategy. They are using the strategy of do what we want or we will tie you up in court and cost you a bunch of money. And what they want you to do is not within the law. They're making you basically do something that is not in compliance with the law or is extra legal meaning they want you to comply with something that isn't actually law. It's just their preference. But what are you going to do? You know that you can't afford that legal fight. You just can't. So you comply, and next time they want something else and something else and something else until you're out of business anyway. Honestly, the biggest one for me, the most obvious example, is modern car commercials, where they may say in the fine print down at the bottom, closed course, professional driver, do not duplicate. But what they're displaying on that screen is absolutely reckless and criminal behavior. They are promoting the use of their product in a way that is absolutely illegal and honestly extremely dangerous. And that's okay, I guess. That's just fine. Yet cars are way more likely to kill you than firearms. We're saying that it's grounds for a lawsuit if it's a gun, but it's not for anything else. Now, quick sidestep. If you have not already subscribed, if you have not hit like and thumbs up, or even a thumbs down on any of my videos you've watched, please do so. It really does help YouTube promote and feature a channel. YouTube is anti-gun, nothing new there. But if you engage with the channel, their algorithm goes, well, it's popular, we'll feed it to a few more people. And it spirals. The channel is growing, but not quickly. And it would really be nice if it grew a little faster, if it started getting some momentum. If you have $3 a month to spare, consider subscribing to my Patreon. You can do higher, but $3 a month is the entry point. And keep in mind, if you are subscribing to me or anybody else on Patreon, if you are doing like a dollar subscription, the person doesn't get most of that. The fees on Patreon, there's a base fee, and then there's a percentage. And at $1, the person you're supposedly giving this dollar to is getting very little of that. At $3, most of it goes to the person. I would appreciate it. And now back to our show. We can extend this whole concept to any industry where they present something that is total fiction as part of their advertising. For example, I have never had any extremely attractive supermodels randomly show up and start running their fingers through my hair. But according to the advertising for my shampoo, that should be a thing. I am very upset. I think I should absolutely sue and demand my supermodels running their fingers through my hair. It'd be a little creepy, a little strange, but I mean, hey, you told me that was what was going to happen. Now here's where it fits into the larger issue. Because these lawsuits are literally backdoor gun control. They are attempts to harm the gun industry. They are attempts to make the gun industry look bad. They are attempts to apply public pressure to the industry. The whole idea that we should be defenseless and let the police handle it is designed to make us more and more dependent on the state. And the end goal is to make it so we have no choice but to depend on the state and to trust that the state will not further violate our rights. That's called tyranny. That's not okay. It's just not. And yet our government has routinely made it more and more easy for them to do. This kind of attitude is why they continue to pass more and more laws, more and more complex laws, where the goal really is not the law itself. The goal is to make everybody a criminal. That they can, no matter who it is, no matter how law-abiding you've tried to be, no matter how good a person you are, they have something that they can charge you with. Because that way they can force you to comply. They can force you to do whatever it is they want you to do, because otherwise we're going to throw you in jail. This way they can always justify coming after you and violating your rights because they're just a criminal, right? That person's just a criminal. We're only doing this to the bad guys. But the group of bad guys keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the countries we've seen this in before turned into dictatorships. They turned into mass murdering, Germany, Russia, China, North Korea. This is how that goes. We are literally watching our country take those steps. We are 1930s Germany right now. And I wish we weren't, but we are early 1930s Germany right now with Biden. So I'm not going to say he's literally Hitler. No, that's not the case. He's too freaking incompetent to be Hitler. But our government is behaving in that same manner. It is trying to isolate groups that it considers dangerous, useful, and good patsies. And basically trying to disarm everybody so that it has a monopoly on force. And at the end of the day, don't forget to just go have some fun, hug your family, hug your friends, have a drink, and enjoy life. Because all of this is not going to stop you from enjoying life today if you don't let it. So take care, have fun, stay safe, y'all.